So I am on the hunt again. And as you can see, I am not in a comic shop. I'm actually in my garage and I'm about to go hunting through the 100K collection. And I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One, it is the holiday season and I actually have some time off of work. So I'm gonna spend some time here in the garage. The other reason is that there are all of these rumors out there about various comics that I may have in the collection. So I want to go see whether I can find those books that have suddenly become hot for one reason or another. With that said, there are also some bins that I haven't spent as much time in, like bins associated with Justice League of America and Justice League Europe. I have not been through those bins in quite some time, so I actually want to spend a little bit of time going through those because you never know what you might be able to find. So with that said, I'm going to show you some changes that I've actually made to the storage area over the last couple of days, and then the hunt will begin. One of the things that you may have noticed from the background there is that I've made some changes here to the storage area. This rack right here actually used to be at the end of these two racks, but I've gone ahead and put it in its permanent place so that I now have a couple of rows. There's a row there, there's a row here, and then a row right there. So it's now in its permanent place, which frees up a lot of space here in my garage, which is kind of nice because things were kind of jammed down the individual aisles. It made it really difficult to kind of move around, but this gives me some space. And what I did with this rack is I left myself some space here and then some space kind of at the end. This box is a temporary box that's sitting there to be able to pull things off of these shelves, move them over here for the purpose of sorting things that I pull out. I'll then put the box up top to hold it so that I can then put those things back into that box and then move it back to its proper place. So there's a whole concept here with this, but this change that I've made actually frees up a lot of space here, which I think is wonderful. Again, we still need that extra garage, but in the interim, I think that this is actually gonna work. Another thing I moved was this thing. This toolbox was actually sitting right here. So we moved that down, cleared it up, but you can still see that I have some stuff down my aisles. It's been raining here, and so a lot of the bikes for the kids are actually inside for the moment, but those will go back outside very soon. So I just found a Flash bin and I'm excited about this find, and I'll tell you why. I have been reading some Flash and I've been paying closer attention to the Flash books as a result of me actually reading some Flash. The challenge for me in finding some of these books is that I haven't necessarily organized the Flash bins the way that I have some of the Batman books, some of the Superman books, and then of course the Marvel comics, in which I've grouped all the bins together in an area. Flash just has not been a focus for me. So there are Flash bins sporadically throughout the collection. And so when I had this interest in Flash, I went looking for the bin or two to try to find the books, and I found bins and I found books close to the one that I'm looking for, but not the actual book itself. So I've just found a new bin that might have the book in it. And so I'm hoping that the next couple of books that I'm going to flip in this bin will be the book that I am hunting for. So fingers crossed that indeed it is. So we're pretty close. That is issue 198 of Flash. This one, as you can see, is unbagged and boarded. And there's another issue number 198, a bagged and boarded copy. And there it is. Issue 197. There you go. I have been hunting for this book. That is a cool cover. That is a cool cover right there. Let's see if we can get lucky and get another one. Nope. The next one is issue 190. No luck with that. We're going to flip through a couple more and see this issue 189. 189, just one single issue. 188, another 188, a single copy of 197 sitting right there. And it does not look like I am going to be able to find another copy of that book. It is all good. I was so hopeful that I would be able to find multiple copies of this comic, but it does not look like that is going to happen. So we're going to continue looking through here, see if we can find some other good stuff in here. Man. Doesn't look like it. That's cool. A nice looking copy. That is a nice looking copy. Very cool. Going through some DC Comics Presents here. This is a bin that I've actually been through several times, but never hurts to go back through. It's Superman and Supergirl right there. Several copies of that. Phantom Zone Criminals, several copies of that. Some Blue Devil. The Elastic 4, Superman. And I don't know that I've actually ever paid attention to that one. That's Superman and Vigilante right there. And it's that Flash right there. I think that's one of the races between Superman and Flash. Don't ask me which, because there have been several races. So I actually have several copies of that. Was that 1, 2, 3? A couple of copies of that. Captain Atom, Omega Men. There's Superboy Prime. I think that's the first appearance of Superboy Prime right there. A couple of copies of that in here. Nothing crazy. Creeper. Superman and Swamp Thing. I think this is a Jack Kirby, one of his final projects for DC right there. Just one copy of that. Nothing crazy in here. A couple of duplicates. Joker, Bizarro, Metal Man, Black Hawk, Vixen. Is that Santa Claus? Superman and Santa Claus. How about that? There's Commandy. Can't go wrong with Commandy. There you go. Again, nothing crazy in here. Madame Xandu. Oh, I don't know if I paid attention to that one. Black Lightning. That's cool. So I just went through a bin that I had labeled Random DC Comics, and I was able to find a couple of copies of a book that I had found previously. Before, I only found a single copy, but I just found 3 copies of it, and I'll show you what that book is a little bit later in the video. Right now, I'm about to go hunting for some Swamp Thing. I honestly cannot remember if I have volume 1 of Swamp Thing in the collection, but there's several bins behind me that I'm going to go through to see if I can find some books from volume 1. If I'm unable to locate those, I'm also on the hunt for a Brian Bolland cover. I think it's issue 153, and it's actually a pretty cool cover because it features a swastika. And this specific book, I do believe, is about an alternative reality in which the Nazis actually won the war. And I kind of dig covers that have some imagery of that sort. So fingers crossed that I'm going to be able to find something decent in these bins. early Swamp Thing books. Some cool books right there. Several copies of that throughout the collection. That appears to be a little bit of a bust. Don't seem to be able to find any volume 1 low number of Swamp Thing, nor can I find the right volume that has issue 153. So we'll continue to hunt for it. Maybe we'll find it. So I am back in the comic book room and ready to show you guys what it is that I managed to find in the 100K collection. And I can tell you that I am happy to be back up here because it is cold down in that garage. But with that said, I did manage to find some pretty awesome books. And you guys saw just a short part of me hunting. I was down there for quite some time. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, I found 3 copies of a book that I had previously only found, I think it was 1 copy of, but this is Blue Beetle issue number 3. Now, what makes this really awesome is that it is basically the reintroduction of the Peacemaker. And you guys know that James Gunn is making a whole show about Peacemaker, and this is his reintroduction. I think prior to this, he was in the Fighting Five, I do believe, a book that I do not own, but I remain hopeful at some point I will find out in the wild because I just think it's a cool book. One of the other books that I did show you in the video was this one right here, Flash issue number 197, and this is the origin and I think first appearance of basically the new Professor Zoom. And besides that, it is a really awesome cover, and unfortunately I was only able to find 1 copy of that book. I was hopeful that because of the cover and the significance of it, that there would be multiple copies of it in the collection, but so far only 1 copy. This next book is another Flash book, and I found this one and I pulled it out because I think that it is the first appearance of the Speed Force, but I'm going to need my Flash experts out there to confirm that for me. Definitely an interesting cover right there. He does not look all that aerodynamic with that bulbous head, but but I thought it was a cool cover. And again, I think it's the first mention or appearance, if you will, of the Speed Force, but you guys can correct me on that. Next up, here's a really cool book. A lot of people, I don't think, are going to appreciate my appreciation for this character, but I dig some Machine Man. I dig Machine Man, and when I found this book, I was elated. It is the first appearance of the robot that went on to become known as Machine Man. This is 2001, A Space Odyssey, issue number 8. And it is not the best copy. There may be either some dirt or some ink transfer on this overwrap right here that we'll see whether that cleans off. But again, it was a cool book to have found in the collection, and again, only one copy of it. Speaking of one copies, that is not the case for this next book. I actually found, I want to say, 3 copies of this one in the bins. This is probably the nicer of the 3. This is The Question, issue number 17, which is the first appearance of Rorschach in DC continuity. And I have never read a Question comic, but I thought it was cool to have found this one in the 100K collection. And for those that are watching this, the 100K does not convey how much I spent. It is the actual number of books in the collection. This next one is one that I have been hunting for a while. And I have looked in bin after bin after bin and could not find this book, but I found it. And it is X-Men Adventures issue number 1. And this one I think is cool because I do believe it is tied to the X-Men animated series. This book is heated up as of late because of the X-Men animated series actually coming back. I just thought it was a cool X-Men issue number 1 to have found in the collection. So I have it, and again, only one copy of this one. For whatever reason, there was a run of this title, but there was a single copy of each one, which is a little unusual for the 100K collection because typically you get multiple copies of important issues and oftentimes like multiple copies of an entire run. There was basically only one copy of that. So that was a little strange, but again, pleased to have finally found that one in the collection. This is a book is one that I've actually found several copies of, and I do believe that this is the print error version, and I have been able to find, I want to say 2 other copies so far. This is X-Men issue number 25, and this one came out in the 90s, has this hologram over here. And I do believe those that have the blue hologram are basically the error version. And this one, I do believe, is the blue. I have, again, a couple others. And it's a little hard to tell which are which, but I think that this is another one of those error copies. And I want to take a close look at this one along with the other ones to see if it warrants sending them in to CGC to potentially have them graded. I'm not big on error comics in general, but I do like the X-Men, and I do like foil and holograms, so that's part of the reason why I may actually send it in, again, if the grade and the condition are there. The last 2 books are ones that I found several copies of. I just thought that they were cool. There is a Harley Quinn book that I'm still looking for in the collection that I cannot find, but I remain hopeful. There is only one bin of Harley Quinn, so I keep searching the same bin over and over, hoping to find it. And you already know how that's going to go. But this is a Terry Dodson pair of covers. Harley Quinn issue number 19. I just thought that that was a pretty cool cover. Key Collector actually has a few bucks on this one, but I didn't even bother to look it up in a pricing guide. But I just thought it was a cool cover, so that's why I pulled it. And then this one was right behind it. This is issue number 20. Again, another Terry Dodson cover. I actually reached out trying to work with Terry at one point for some variants that I was doing and was unable to get in touch with him. But it would have been cool to have worked with him on a project. So you never know what the future can hold. With that said, I'm going to wrap this video up. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch. I hope you enjoyed this little hunting adventure in the 100K collection. And if you're curious as to what else is in this collection, you can actually search here on YouTube and be able to check out a ton, literally a ton of other videos on the 100K collection. And if I remember, I will actually put a bookmark down in the description so you guys can shortcut to the playlist. As always, if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.